Do you want to know how to get your short-term rental set up as quickly as possible so that you can start making money right away? My name is Yiwei. I own and manage short-term rentals in Cincinnati, Ohio. I've set up at least 40 in the last 4.5 years. And in this video, I am going to break down the exact workflow I use so that you can most efficiently and quickly get your short-term rental set up in 7 to 14 days. So here is the best workflow for setting up your short-term rental once you have a property. And I have it broken down into 5 steps. Step 1 is preparing the property. If you have a property under contract, this is where I would start immediately because you have that buffer time between when the property is under contract to when the property closes to do so much stuff. And the goal is when the property closes, you can start having all the furniture there and all the work get started. Any contractors, anything you need done on the house, they can get started right away the day you close. If you already have a property, I would still start at step 1. You just don't have that buffer time from when the property is under contract to when the property closes. So you will have a longer lead time just waiting for furniture and waiting for material and things like that. So step 1 is preparing the property. That means when you walk through the property, make a list of everything that you want done to this house. And that would include any renovations, any minor cosmetic work like painting, flooring, any deferred maintenance. So that would be like the hot water heater needs to be changed soon because it's almost at the end of its life, or the roof is almost at the end of its life and it needs to be replaced soon. The furnace, the HVAC, anything that you might have to go work on once a property is live in the very near future. You want to do all that up front. And this is the most efficient way because it is so hard to get in there between guests, or you're gonna have to take the property offline later so that you could do work like this because of an unexpected breakdown, basically, where the furnace stopped working, the hot water heater isn't working. It is so much harder to do that and lose out on revenue. If you have a guest there, you're gonna have to cancel guests because now you have this issue that you knew about at the beginning that it was gonna happen sometime later. It's just a lot better to do all of your deferred maintenance up front. So make a list of everything that you want done, all the way to the details of, I want this doorknob changed from this antique gold to this nickel color. So everything needs to be on the list. So you have this scope list. And this is going to be a lot of project management type stuff. So once you have this list, then you can start planning out the work for step 2. The second thing I do in step 1 is measure all the rooms and start getting that ready for design. Because once you're designing the layouts, the furniture, you're gonna need to know the room dimensions, like what can you fit in this room, what the layout is gonna be. So measure the room, measure the area. And I also like to do in advance is measure for the size of the furniture. So if I know I'm gonna put this size bed in here, I'm gonna measure if this queen is gonna fit or can I fit a king. If it's in the living room or dining room, I'm gonna measure out and say like what kind of couch or dining table can fit in here. Is it gonna be a rectangular 60-inch or does it have to be a circular 60-inch or 48-inch? And what size couch can fit in here. So all of that is done during step 1. When you walk through the property, when the property is under contract, you are preparing for when this property closes, you're gonna have everything ready to go to install inside the property. When you do the walkthrough of this house, also invite contractors, handymen, and anybody else that you need to give you a quote on the scope that needs to be done on this house. So it might be the second time you walk through it, you invite them over, but I would do all of this at the beginning when the property is under contract as soon as you can. So maybe your first walkthrough, you come up with your scope list. The second walkthrough, you bring all the contractors in. And I always schedule them to be there on the same day. It's gonna be a busy day. Like the electrician's gonna be there, the flooring guy's gonna be there, the painter's gonna be there, everybody's gonna be there, and I'm gonna show them the scope on the same day. So I don't have to keep going back there multiple times because one person is not available, the other person is available, and make all these arrangements. I want to just be there on the same day and get a quote from everybody at the same time. So the premise is I want to do as much as I can when the property is under contract. So I want to walk through the property the least amount of time as I can too, because I don't want to make like 5,000 trips over there to meet with different people to measure because I forgot to measure this room or I forgot what size I need here. So I try to do everything in just 2 to 3 walkthroughs of the property at the very beginning, the minute I know it's under contract, and I usually like to bundle that with the inspection. So the same day as an inspector is getting there, the contractors are going to be there, and I'm going to be there walking everything through. But usually I do one first for me where I go through it and get the scope of what I think this needs. And sometimes I will even do that when I make the offer. Like before I make the offer, I would know here are the things that I think this property needs and have a really general idea. Once the offer gets accepted, then I would go in and make a more detailed list of specifically what work needs to be done. And then that's when I schedule the second walkthrough for all the contractors to be there. If they can make it on the inspection day, do all of that at the same time because it's also easier to get everybody in at the same time, and then get quotes from them. Step 2 is design and furnish. I also do this while the property is under contract and I know that I am going to close on this property, usually after the inspection period where I know that nothing really is going to change. I'm going to be serious and close on this property. So I will take that chance and start doing all this work ahead of time. And I also use this time to pick out the contractor. Make sure you pick out the contractor, pick out your material, whatever design you need for the renovation. And the other design and furnish is going to be the furniture. But I would make sure that everything is done on the renovation first, or any contractor type work is done first before you put any furniture in there. But at this time, I've already got the design started. If you are not doing your own design and you have a designer doing it, then have your designer be part of your first walkthrough. Have them walk through it and get everything that they need to design and furnish this house. And have them start working on that while the property's under contract, because oftentimes the furniture are going to have long lead times. Sometimes it might be quick, sometimes it might take 3 weeks. So start early as you can on the design and order the furniture as soon as you can. So in terms of design, I always look for furniture that is functional, sturdy, and stylish. It has to last a lot of what the guests are gonna put it through. And it has to look good because your picture's gotta stand out among other listings in the area. When I think about design, I think about these 2 questions. And that is, what will make my listing stand out among others in the area? And are guests willing to spend money for it? Because at the end of the day, if it looks cute, but people aren't willing to pay for it, then it is money that is not well invested. So we want to put all the money into the amenities design that makes guests want to say, yes, I want to stay at that property and I am going to pay extra dollars or premium for that amenity. So some things are really cute, like you might have this cute little door knocker that matches the door on this property with your theme, but are guests going to pay more because you have this door knocker versus a king bed? So probably not. There are certain things that guests are going to be willing to pay for, so make sure that the right amenities are in the house. I have a PDF below where you can grab all the top amenities I'm putting in my property that guests are actually paying for and looking for when they book. So it'll help you when you design your place, or if you want to pass that along to your designer and make sure that gets in there. And just while we're on the topic of designers, it's so important to make sure you have a designer that is familiar with short-term rentals, like not just staging, because staging to sell is different than furnishing for a short-term rental. Like furnishing for a short-term rental requires knowing what the guest wants. Staging for a listing to sell is just, boxes that make it look like a mattress, a fake TV, like it looks good for potential owners to imagine what the room could be used for, but it does not mean that it is tough enough to withstand all the guests' use of that space. So it is very different to design for a short-term rental than it is for a homeowner or staging the listing. So at this stage, you want to start ordering your furniture once the design is set, and that includes any wallpaper, any paint colors, anything that you need to communicate to the contractors as well, and any additional furniture that may be custom or needs longer lead time for. And don't forget the kitchen items too. So you want to add anything you need in the kitchen, outdoor furniture, any decor, especially outside or even inside, art and wall decor. I usually do that last after the furniture gets there because you have time and it's usually not as long of a lead time to get wall art. But you can start ordering that too at the very beginning if you know exactly what you want. And then also make sure that you are spending money on the right amenities, like the right beds, the right mattresses. Do not skimp on anything that would impact the guest experience. And the bedroom, the furniture, how comfortable things are, and how things look are going to be really important when you start a short-term rental. You don't want to be rebuying furniture because things broke, because it got ordered from Amazon or Wayfair or something. You want beds that are going to last, because there's nothing worse than trying to fix a bed while guests are there because the previous guest broke it or the new guest broke it. So it is something you want to definitely invest in upfront. Step 3 is hire a team. And for me, I already have a team in place in Cincinnati, so I'm not looking to continue looking for new people unless it's in a different area where my current team doesn't go. But if you're starting somewhere where you have no idea, you don't know anybody in the area, and you're starting out, then start hiring a team while the property is under contract. Don't wait until you have the property set up and you need a cleaner because you just got a booking and now you got to find a cleaner. Start early. Hire a team right when you have that property under contract, because oftentimes you might have to go through a few people before you actually find one who's actually good and is going to be doing a good job, basically. So how do you hire a team? I always recommend that you go to local Facebook groups, local investment groups, meetups in the area with investors and people who are actually using those people, and look for high volume people. Like not just anybody who recommends themselves or anybody who responds and puts a comment on your post. You want to find people who are actually doing the work in the area, especially if you're looking for contractors. Like look for people who have been doing flips in the area for a long time or have lots of rental properties in this area, and ask them who they use, because the people who have the most volume and are actually doing the work in the area constantly, they have people that they work with, and they have people that they work with for a long time usually. So I would go and use those people, leverage those connections from investors in the area who's actually doing the work and have the most volume. Not just anybody who says that they paint or do flooring and all that, which you can do, but you might kiss some frogs before you find the actual really good contractor. I've done this like multiple times and I've found so many bad people on there. So this is a way I found to filter the best, is call a bunch of people, call the people on the comments too, but also look for people that are more established in the area and see who they recommend. So who are the people you need to hire? The first one is a cleaner. Obviously, the cleaner is going to be super important for your short-term rental. And I would recommend that you test them out. Test them out on your property. Like after you get all the work done, all the construction work done, everything done, have them do it clean and see how they do. So I would test it out. If you are local to the area, test them out on your own house. See how they clean. See what kind of cleaning tools and equipment and supplies they are using. So test them out first if you can. Secondly is a photographer. And real estate agents would be able to recommend a lot of great real estate photographer, but I would recommend you look at their portfolio of anybody who gets recommended to you. Look at the portfolio, look at the pictures that they take, see if that meets your vibe, and also decide if you want evening photos, because that's going to be probably a little bit extra since you're going to have to make different trips out there. But a photographer is number 2, and number 3 is a handyman. And understand what limitations this handyman can do. Some of them will tell you, some of them don't know themselves. So that means, can they do electrical? Can they do plumbing? Can they do drywall? Like, what kind of work can they do? I have some handyman who can't do a lot of the construction type work, but I have some handyman who can do a lot of that. So figure out what they can do and what they can't do. And when things go wrong, when the property is running as a short-term rental, the top 3 trades that you'll need is 1, a plumber, 2, an electrician, and 3, the HVAC. So have a contractor for all of those. The 4th person to look for is going to be the landscaping person, who is going to cut the grass for you, unless you want to cut it yourself, and trim the bushes and mulch the area and make sure everything looks good. So start looking for landscaping person early too. The last one, if you have a pool or hot tub, look for somebody who is going to be cleaning it, taking care of it, monitoring it, and decide on what that frequency is. Is it weekly? Is it every two times a week? How much time should they be spending at your property? The price, just get all of that straight up front. Step 4 is do the actual work and install the furniture. So after planning for all this time, you finally close on the property, you finally can go inside, make sure that the contractors are on time and start their work. I always like to have the contractors do their work first, whether that's painting, flooring, changing out the water heater, anything they need to do. I want that done first before any of the furniture gets put inside or gets put together. So it's fine to have the furniture get delivered and the boxes be there at the house, but I wouldn't put anything together because things get broken, things get dirty, and you just want to have everybody out before putting the furniture in there. And at this point, I will also make sure that the handyman you selected is ready to install the furniture, or your designer or whoever you have putting that furniture together knows exactly when the contractor ends and the furniture can be installed. So after that, it's going to be a deep clean. I have the cleaner ready to come clean up after all the contractors And after all the boxes, all the styrofoam, anything that is messy on the floor, clean all that up and get it ready for guests. On top of the furniture is going to be the mattress, the bedding, the kitchen items, anything else that is needed to furnish the house. And then lastly, I do the wall art last because it's not that long of a lead time to get the pictures and get any of the decorations, and it's usually better to do it last so you can see how things look in the space. So if you have a designer doing it, they would have to do all that for you, so you don't have to worry about it. And if you're doing it yourself, that is the workflow I use to do the work and install the furniture. Step 5 is really important to me and anybody who wants to scale or have systems, and that is adding your property to your systems. The different systems I add this property to is number 1, adding to your software. So that could be your property management software if you have one, or start looking for one for your property, and you could do that before the property closes too. The second thing is going to be your cleaning management. So how is a cleaner going to know when you have a clean, when somebody checks out, when a reservation comes in, when a reservation gets canceled? So having that property added to your system is going to be super important. The second thing is all the technology that you're going to have for this house. So that means your keypad lock, your cameras, anything else electronically, Nest thermostat that you want to put into this house to get it ready for guests. If you have less than 5 or 10 properties, I have another video that goes deeper into detail of the different softwares you need and what the technology is hardware-wise, like what locks, what cameras, what thermostat, like everything you need to put in your property. Just wanted to add on that I connect my smart lock and my cameras the same time the furniture install is going on. So that way the contractors and the designer, anybody coming in and out of the house has their own code that is controlled by Wi-Fi. So that actually goes in before or at the same time that the contractors and designers come in. I get Wi-Fi, and the lock gets installed and the cameras get installed. So that way I can monitor to see what things got delivered, who is going in and out. So that is something to do as well if you are planning on having a smart lock. By this time, everything should be ready at this house. The furniture is done, the cleaning is done, everything is set up, it's basically ready for guests. And at this time, step number 5, the last thing I do is have everything ready and set up for my systems. The first thing is having a professional photographer come in and take pictures of the property so I can use that as my listing photos. And I also come in and take photos myself for all the little nitty-gritty details that I'm going to use for my setup photos, which goes into my cleaning management and inventory management system. So this is how that works. Those photos are going to be everything the cleaner, the inspector needs to know where everything goes in this house. So that means how are the towels set up? Where is the TV remote? Where is the garage door opener? Where are all the glasses going to be? Drinking glasses, plates, bowls. Where are all those things going to be set up in the house? I take all of those photos and I integrate that into my property management system. So the property management system, I'm going to have all the photos from the professional photographer to create the listing. So at that time, I will be able to sync to the different channels, get all the pricing, get everything set up, and make edits to all the different channels. So the first time is going to be to create the listing, but after that, all the modifications are done in the property management system. The second thing is I use my photos plus the photographer's photos to create what is going to be the task for the cleaner in our cleaning management system, which I use is Breezeway. So I go in there, I create every single room, what everything's supposed to look like. So they have the reference photos. They also have to upload photos of different things. And so that way they know how everything is supposed to look when they are here at this house, because it is new, they never have cleaned it before, and everything is ready for them here. The other thing I do is the inventory management system. I add all the inventory that I will need to restock into my system, Breezeway, as well. So that way, when it's time to restock, when it's time to take count, I don't have to think, what did I have in there? I have that list already from the beginning, and that is already set up. So we are ready to take count the next time we need to restock. The fourth thing I do is going to be the linen inventory. So when I first started a house, I found it easier to just know that up front, like what size beds, how many different sheets and towels and colors of bath mats and everything I have at that one house. And then I put everything together also into the count system. So that way I don't have to remember if I need to restock towels or restock sheets. I don't have to guess and try to figure out like what size they are, or what brand they are, what color they are. I already have that up front at the beginning. So these are all the things I do to set up a property and close it out to get it ready for guests. And if you are adding Ring cameras or any other cameras, any monitoring systems, or any smart locks or smart thermostats, also integrate that into the systems at this point. Already have them done before when the contractors are coming, but you can definitely add that in at the end. Just make sure everything is covered, because it's very important to have all of these in before guests arrive. Because once the guests start coming in, you don't want to go back in and try to figure out what everything is and get everything set up. It's just too disruptive to the operations. And this is the most streamlined workflow I have found. I have discovered over all my years of setting up short-term rentals, and it usually takes me 7 to 14 days after the furniture arrives to have everything set up. And a lot of these things we can do even after closing. So that is it. That is my workflow. This is the most streamlined workflow I have discovered over the years and years of setting up short-term rentals. And a lot of it is a lot of planning up front. So once the furniture gets delivered, it can be put together so fast. And a lot of it is having all of the people and the furniture, all of that line up beforehand. So for this house, between when the house closed to when we got the electrical, painting, flooring, all of that done was about 4 days. And then the furniture got delivered and it got put together the next day. And the last bit of furniture got a little bit delayed because we had to wait 4 days for the furniture to get delivered, even though it already arrived here in the city. So that pushed us back a little bit, but the furniture is really put together the day after delivery. And then after that, the cleaner is scheduled to come, clean, and we take photos. So that is the very simplified workflow, and it took this house about 7 to 14 days. So I would love to know if you try it out. Let me know what you think. Put any questions you have in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.